The Terrain Clearance Floor (TCF) function enhances the basic EGPWS modes by alerting the pilot of descent below a defined terrain clearance floor regardless of the aircraft configuration and phase of flight. The TCF alert is a function of the aircraft's radio altitude and distance relative to the center of the nearest runway in the database. This graphic shows the lateral and vertical dimensions of a classic TCF. The envelope is defined for all hard surface runways above 3,500 feet in length worldwide and extends to infinity or until it meets the envelope of another runway. TCF alerts result in illumination of the EGPWS caution lights and the oral message, "Too low, terrain." The audio message is provided once when initial envelope penetration occurs and again only for additional 20% decrease in radio altitude. The EGPWS caution lights will remain on until the TCF envelope is exited. If enabled, the Runway Field Clearance Floor (RFCF) feature is similar to the TCF feature, except that the RFCF is based on the current aircraft position and height above the destination runway, using geometric altitude in lieu of radio altitude. This provides improved protection at locations where the runway is significantly higher than the surrounding terrain. RFCF alerts result in illumination of the EGPWS caution lights and the oral message, "Too low, terrain," the same as for TCF alerts. The EGPWS caution lights will remain on until the RFCF envelope is exited. The EGPWS, RFCF, TCF, TAD, and look-ahead functions are available when all required data is present and acceptable. Aircraft position and numerous other parameters are monitored and verified for adequacy in order to perform these functions. If determined invalid or unavailable, the system will display a terrain inoperative annunciation and discontinue the terrain display if active. RFCF, TCF, TAD, and look-ahead functions may be inhibited by manual selection of a cockpit terrain inhibit switch. Neither loss nor inhibiting these functions affects the basic GPWS functions, modes 1 to 6. Due to terrain features at or near certain specific airports around the world, normal operations have resulted in nuisance or missed alerts at these locations in the past. With the introduction of accurate position information and a terrain and airport database, EGPWS is able to modulate the normal alerting envelopes to compensate for the condition at these key locations. This feature is automatic and requires no flight crew action. Modes 4, 5, and 6 are expanded at certain locations to provide alerting protection consistent with normal approaches. Modes 1, 2, and 4 are desensitized at other locations to prevent nuisance alerts that result from unusual terrain or approach procedures. In all cases, very specific information is used to correlate the aircraft position and phase of flight prior to modulating the envelopes. The purpose of RAAS is to provide the flight crew with supplemental information of aircraft position relative to runways stored in a database during surface operations and on final approach. RAAS is an oral-only advisory function, and therefore a visual display of the information is not provided. RAAS provides timely oral advisory messages to the flight crew in a significant number of scenarios that have led to runway incursions. RAAS is not intended for navigation purposes, for example, to guide an aircraft in or around the terminal area. RAAS is integrated within EGPWS. EGPWS protection and operation is unaltered by the addition of RAAS. Note that RAAS advisories have a lower priority than any EGPWS terrain-related alerts, including radio altitude callouts. The RAAS uses aircraft inputs within the EGPWS, such as GPS position heading, ground speed, and runway database, to generate the 10 oral advisories shown here. Note that GPS availability is a requirement for the operation of RAAS. RAAS operates automatically without any action required from the flight crew. During normal operations, the crew would only be exposed to the 5 routine advisories for the entire period between pushback at departure airport and taxi-in at the destination airport. The 5 advisories alone have the potential to address many classic runway incursion scenarios. Not all routine advisories are available on each aircraft. The optional routine advisories can be enabled during installation. For details, refer to your operations manual. If enabled, these optional non-routine advisories will be heard seldom or even never. For details regarding the installation on your aircraft, refer to the operations manual. Finally, have a closer look at the non-routine advisories and their purpose. The EGPWS and RAAS test, if enabled, run simultaneously and are divided into a long and a short test sequence. The short test is performed by the flight crew as part of the pre-flight checks. Both tests are initiated by pressing either amber ground prox annunciator on the glare shield. Before performing the test, ensure that both IRSs are aligned, both GPSs are in nav mode, and all EGPWS failure indications are out. Then, for the short test, the amber ground prox annunciator is pressed less than 2 seconds.
Glide slope. Pull up. Terrain, pull up. Runway, awareness, okay. Meters.
During the test pattern, several cockpit annunciations can be observed. On the glare shield, the ground prox and pull-up annunciators light up alternately. On the CSP, the GPS in-op caption is lit. On the right instrument panel, Fail is shown in amber on the terrain system push to inhibit button. On the ND or dedicated display, a test pattern is visible with the loaded terrain database, TDB, and RAAS configuration database, RCD if enabled, posted in the right lower corner. Possible failures with EGPWS and RAAS are announced via the test audio. Click on the loudspeaker to hear the audio of a successful test again. The long test, which is inhibited in flight, is not required during the